Look at this beautiful hand-tufted Victorian side chair. Isn't it wonderful?
What was that?
Gotta have a sense
Oh,
of humor.
boy.
You gotta have a sense of humor in the upholstery business.
That
That's what
wasn't
I
set up,
think.
right? That wasn't set up at all.
You can see it set up from a mile away, can't you? Well, so we do have a lot of submissions, and before I get going, I think we're going to have a lot of people. I keep pushing people with questions during the week. Sometimes they email me, sometimes they text me.
Turn the mic sideways.
What?
Turn the mic.
This way?
A little closer to you.
How's that?
There you go.
So I've been pushing people to this segment where we answer the questions. I think somebody from an online class had a question. Somebody from YouTube had a question. One of my customers had a question. So I get it from a lot of different places. And Mary Kay has a very interesting, the latest Facebook forum question that she has and statement, if you want to call it, or story, is a great story, and I'll read that in a little while.
Hey, Nico.
And hi, everybody that's joining us. So before I get going, Mary's story, and I mentioned, brought back a lot of, we talked a little bit, Patrick, before a customer came in, and she had to leave, but we were talking a lot about history and how mainly how history can be tied to furniture and and all that. And when we get to Mary Kay's, we'll get to that. But I wanted to tell my little story. I think I've told this before, but it's worth retelling. And it was a couple that called me in to do a love seat. And this couple lived in one of the older communities in New England. And they were older and still in love after 50 years of marriage, which is a miracle, right? But anyhow, they had this wonderful love seat, and they began to tell me the story of the love seat, which was they lived along the ocean. I think it was in Cape Cod. And there was this very bad storm. I think it was in the 30s. I'd have to say there were a few hurricanes in the 30s, and I would say that would be about the timeline. And the hurricane came in, the floods came in, and took all the contents of their beach home out into the ocean. And when they came down to look at it a couple of days later, thank God they weren't there. They had evacuated. But when they came, all of their possessions in that house were gone, out to sea. And so, they were happy that nobody was hurt, and, they were going to continue on. So about a week later, they were walking along the beach, and sure enough, what did they find but the love seat stuck in the sand, kind of like, I think of the image, I know that this is a little strange, but you know the movie Planet of the Apes, Patrick, when he's walking along the beach, Charlton Heston's walking along the beach, and he sees the Statue of Liberty halfway coming out of the sand. That's my vision of this love seat coming out of it, but it was much more romantic than that.
It's like
but
Jimmy
anyhow.
Shellback coming out of the
Yeah. So they told me the story, and I was hired to reupholster it the second time. Not as glamorous, but I mean, there was a great story. I would have loved, I was telling Mary Kay, I would have loved to have upholstered it the first time. But I think it's a great story about marriage, and I just thought you guys might like that. But anyhow. So what are we going to do? Talk about, Patrick, how many subscribers? Did we get to the 22 yet?
Look, a couple
off 22?
Yeah, and we got, what we can talk about, actually, you have a submission from somebody from Pakistan, I'm pretty sure, on there.
Oh, from the YouTube?
So, yeah, no, from Facebook forum.
But should we read the YouTube first?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was cool. I think that's probably our first Pakistani.
That's wonderful. We love our Pakistani friends. We love our Saudi Arabian friends. We love our Australian friends. We love our Canadian friends. We love our Australian friends. Did I say that?
Shouldn't list them. You're going to leave somebody out.
Oh, well, we do have a lot of friends worldwide. And Jimmy's fantasy is to have Upholstery on Broadway sponsor him to go around to these
vacation, pretty much.
To go to these locales all over, Oh, that's what I wanted to mention. Speaking of history and stories, I wanted to mention over the weekend what happened to me. So I'm 65. I'm getting up there, but I'm still in good shape. And I had a sofa that I had finished that had to go be delivered early Saturday morning, and I'm talking 6:30 in the morning to the North End, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this. It was right almost next door to the Paul Revere house. The Paul Revere's house is actually still standing in Boston, if you can believe it, for those of you who may not know that. But this was an old home, and it was 3 stories. Coming down, Patrick, was one thing. The customer actually helped me coming down, and she promised to help me going over there. The problem with this sofa, this was about a 200-pound sofa. It was very heavy. It was an old sofa, so it was heavy. It was really well made. And one of the problems was that the legs, there was small screw-on legs that had to come off, otherwise it wouldn't have gone down 3 flights of stairs. It was just very narrow. And what added to the problem was the bottom. There was no grip on the bottom at all. So I mean, you couldn't even put your hands on the bottom because it was webbed and it had those metal strappings on. So there was no grip. So I knew going back that the hardest would be up at the top, and you would literally be dragging if you could hold on to it. So what I did was, I never did this before, Patrick, in 40 years of upholstery. I did a series of strapping with our webbing. You know, guys know that red stripe webbing. I strapped the arms, and I strapped both arms, and then I strapped it all the way around the base. I really tied it off tight, and in some areas I had to use the tufting twine to get it even tighter, so that I would have a hand grip up at the top. And so, Patrick, I'm dragging it up literally. I mean, I'm picking it up like this, and at one point it fell on top of me.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, this is it. And all I could think of, where is my 6'4" Adonis of a son, 6'4", 200 pounds of rippling muscle? Where is he?
I wish.
And where is Jimmy? Jimmy's a very big man. He's a hero at the local MBTA. A big dude. Where's he? Oh,
We're on vacation.
he's in Florida on the beach. And Patrick, where were you, Patrick, when all this was?
Bahamas, I think.
Yeah, I mean, here's your dad at the bottom of a 200-pound sofa. Thanks a lot.
Well, first of all, you all right?
What?
Are you okay? That's first I'm hearing of this.
I'm fine. 2 days later, I'm still sore. So I had to get them. Really the energy up to lift that off me, first of all, and then lift it back up. I mean, it was crazy. 3 flights like that.
Wow.
Anyhow, got in, screwed the legs back in. She liked it, and that's all there is to it. But anyhow, here we go with YouTube. Anything other business? What about the new class, the wing chair class? People are asking about that, Patrick.
Yep, end of May.
End of
That's
May.
my goal. That'll be our spring class, and
And
we haven't even. Trying to think if we haven't started the one after that. So I think after that we got to get filming.
yeah, we do.
That's the last
We
one.
keep
we have
saying
in
that,
Canada.
and you know, it's crazy how busy it is right now.
No, we're focusing on get this wing chair up. That'll be our spring. The summer class we got of. We might have to take a break during the summer.
Well, we'll see.
We
Maybe.
might have to because if we're filming over the summer, maybe we'll have an end of summer class.
Okay.
Online. Yeah. We're waiting on Jimmy to find the perfect thing.
Jimmy's been on a hunt, right? He's out there hunting for something.
It's going to be an exciting one. That's all we can say for now. But we've said we've tried to. People have any ideas? We're trying to find a sofa, like tufted sofa.
It's hard to do a sofa though because of the space limitations. But
Yeah, this one would have been perfect. Look, what you got up there.
which one's
We
that?
could have done something like that.
Oh, for tufting, yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll find something, guys.
So let's get to any questions or comments before we start, Patrick.
Nico says, "Wait, Patrick is your son." Yes. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't know where he came from with that height. Well, I know where the height came from. One part of my family, one part amongst very small people, were tall, and that's where he came from. Because both sides of the family, they're very small, right, Patrick?
Let's see what Randy said. I'm amazed that you do sofa deliveries by yourself. Well, you don't often.
Well, it was with the customer was helping me on the bottom of this, you know. But I usually don't like asking customers of any size to help me. I mean, it's really not professional. But you know, what are you going to do? It's that it was a time picked in the morning that there's not many people up at that time. But anyhow, yeah. Ken, let's get to the YouTube.
Thanks, Nico. She said,
What?
so that's awesome. Said if I wasn't your son, I don't think I'd be doing this, would I?
Right.
It'd be tough to find someone to put up with this, Nico.
I know all the good humor.
I'm just kidding.
So Ken is commenting on the pricing in the upholstery business. He says, Kevin, Ken, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
No, this was a good one.
I really enjoy your videos, and I have just a few more classes on your French settee, which has increased my knowledge on a similar settee. I am doing. I wish I lived closer. I would be taking your classes in person. Thank you very much for sharing your expert knowledge, and I love it. Well, that's
Ken's
great.
a student, I think, so.
Well, what I like about upholstery, it's pretty timeless, Patrick. I mean, I think these videos, if people are going to continue to upholster, unless they come up with some new fashion of furniture that doesn't need padding, it's all plastic or whatever.
Well,
maybe.
they have that, but
Well, I mean,
not many people have it.
not many people like to sit on it. I mean, they really, when you think about it, I think it's going to be around for a while, a traditional upholstery.
What class did he do?
He did the settee class.
Oh, okay.
And I think for those of you who don't know, we have the YouTube videos, which are good, and people have learned from that. But the online classes, we have more time to do them. They are paid classes, but I think they're very reasonable. But there's much more detail in those classes, and it's because of Jimmy mainly. It's because of the apprentice asking those questions. And Jimmy is really good. I don't think we could have found many people like Jimmy to do this, Patrick, because he comes fresh. He comes with a positive attitude.
Yeah, the personality.
He never gets upset. He never like loses his patience with himself.
Although the wing chair that tested his patience, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, is that when he threw it out the window?
That's when he threw it off a skyscraper. Screw this. And the wing chair really did go flying.
It looked like Dumbo, right?
What part was that? Do you remember? He was really good. I think I'll edit it out, but unless people want me to put it in there.
Maybe you should do best of Jimmy meltdowns.
Yeah, there was a tough part of that. I think remember the end of the last class. You don't remember?
No, I don't remember because it's so infrequent. He really was pretty
this was
good.
hard. I mean, I told him I wouldn't have been able to do that. It was very fine detail. I think it was hand sewing, maybe. I forget.
I think you might be right. I think some fabrics. I think the fabric was really hard to get a needle in, or something like that.
And he also has to work with the angle of the camera, which is impressive too. And
That's right. He has to. It's one thing for me to get out of the way and try to do something. It's another thing for him to get out of the way and try to do something. He doesn't have the right angle himself, and that's hard.
So I'm sure if he does it the right way, he's going to be able to breeze through it.
So what Ken is seeing, I think Ken appreciates the time, and of course, the time behind the camera, the editing and everything else, which is really important, which really takes a lot of time. So I think it's at least double the amount of time, right? At least. I mean, for 1 hour footage, how much do you edit, Patrick, in 1 hour footage?
We should look into like posting some cut stuff.
Yeah, that would be fun. I bet people would like that.
Yeah, I would take. So that's what Randy said.
So we got a subscriber called Susie Cream Cheese. And where is she? I'm trying to think of a joke to go along with that, but I better be careful. How to upholster 1860s antique chair restoration part 3 spring tying. Now, that's a mouthful, isn't it? And I still think there's one of our most popular videos, and I think it has a lot to do with the thumbnail. If you guys want to check it out, Patrick has a really cool thumbnail on that. And I think a lot of people like Westons. If you like Westons, you should take a look at it. It's kind of fun. And this chair, as soon as we got this chair, we knew the date and the locale that it came from, Kansas City, Kansas. We just put 2 and 2 together, and it's like it screams Weston, Western chair, cowboys and Indians and all that stuff. So Susie says, I was given 3 chairs that look exactly like this one. I decided to reupholster the one in worse condition. First follow the tutorial series. I thought you would be interested to know that the lady who owned them originally was born in 1910, and her father was a Confederate soldier, Patrick.
Wow.
We did that other
the
Civil War. Yeah.
Sofa, right?
No staples, probably tacks, cotton and horsehair. The chair had no staples, but 1 million rusted tacks were removed. Now remember, you guys, the rusted tacks are from the saliva of the upholsterer, and this would fit perfectly into the 1910 upholsterer who spit tacks. So the rust has a lot of DNA on it, so maybe we can trace the upholstery friends at some point, Pat, if you want to take a CSI class and test these tacks.
Although would it still be on there after all that time?
Oh yeah. I think it would. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, I don't know. But the rust is there. Isn't the rust... Is that an indication that the DNA is there?
I'm not sure if anybody knows about this. Let us know.
It must have been reupholstered once before. There were metal rings used to secure the coils to webbing, which was disintegrating. I plan to leave a note of the chair's history inside for the next person. That's a nice thing to do, actually, Patrick.
Yeah.
I have only upholstered simple drop seats in the past, but thanks to your videos, I have the confidence to try a much more challenging project. These chairs will go home to my son's 1910 house.
Oh, cool.
That's cool. I'm going to try tufting the backs on the other two. Thanks so much for your video tutorials. A lot of work, but what patience is this? Therapeutic and enjoyable. Yeah, I agree. That's great. That's wonderful. That's a nice YouTube submission, isn't it, Patrick?
Yeah, it is.
Usually they don't go on like that in YouTube. I didn't know they had that many characters in YouTube, Patrick. Do you know?
You could do a lot.
How many characters do they have? Do you know? Do they allow?
There's a limit, but
It's longer than a text.
you can still write a decent amount.
If anybody knows that offhand, let us know, because this is, I mean, you can see the one on the bottom. That's a lot. That's a lot. Usually that's half that, if that. All right, let's go to the next one. Any questions or comments, Patrick? Anybody have stories of deliveries that went wrong?
We seem to have a lot of them.
Deliveries that went right, deliveries that went wrong. I could tell you a couple of other ones that happened to me and somebody else. Me, I had a boss when I first started who was the son of the owner. No names mentioned, but he was a little bit of a rough guy, you know. And we went to this apartment building, and the sofa was a 110-inch long sofa. And of course it wouldn't fit in the elevator. So he got a maintenance man. Know what he did, Pat? Know what we did?
This is the crane one?
Nope, worse than that. Without any safety gear or harnesses or helmets or scents, they lowered the elevator a floor below the lobby. They opened the doors, and there's the top of the elevator with all the cables. We loaded the sofa on top of the elevator.
It's a good way to get cut in half.
And we all three of us, the maintenance man, me, and the boss, were balancing the sofa on top of the elevator. I think it was like the 10th floor.
Oh my God.
And we went up to the 10th floor. Of course, they had to stop at the 9th floor, and then open the. Is that how they did it? Hold on a second. Maybe they went halfway. I don't know, but you know, it was dangerous, Patrick.
Insane.
This is when I first started. I wouldn't refuse to do something like that now. That's ridiculous. Life and limb. And then
wouldn't be allowed to do that now.
Now another case I heard was a moving company, and it was when sofa beds first became in vogue, and this was a long time ago. So the first sofa bed was Sealy. Sealy made a sofa bed. It was cast iron, Patrick. You hear what I just said? Cast iron was the mechanism.
Sofa bed too.
There was no such thing as lightweight steel or anything like that. Aluminum, I don't even think was invented. You guys can Google it if you want, but these things are a death trap. So when they first came out, nobody really knew how to handle them.
Sorry, Randy says OSHA compliant.
I got a worse OSHA compliant story too.
When was this, back in the 80s?
This was a long time ago. So the moving company took this Sealy sofa. It was going up to a house. They got inside the house, but what they didn't realize, first of all, that they had the mattress in the unit, where they could have taken the mattress out. It would have been a lot lighter, but that really wasn't the issue. And it was going up a second floor, and it was a second floor apartment. It was like so the first floor was an apartment, somebody else's apartment, and the second floor was where they were going, right? You listening?
Yeah.
So they got it up, they had it up on its arm, and it got stuck. So the guy decided to go in, for some reason, to go in between, because what had happened is the mechanism opened a little bit, and it got stuck in the hallway, like halfway up the stairs, and then all of a sudden it sprung, and he went through the wall, and he landed on a kitchen table in the apartment.
That's crazy.
These things are deadly, and they weigh about 300 pounds. They're probably the heaviest thing you will ever lift. But yeah, OSHA again. I guess OSHA does serve a purpose.
Ridiculous.
I have another story about OSHA. I was working in that same shop.
Maybe we should stop so we don't get in trouble.
No, this shop's long gone. It was it was a dysfunctional shop, and they had a horse.
You're saying you had no choice?
Randy probably would. I don't even know if Randy would know this, or Malcolm, or anybody else. Maybe I don't know if you've ever seen a horse hair picking machine. So visualize. You know those music boxes, Patrick? You lift the lid up, and there's
Jack in the
two.
Box?
No, music boxes. There's two rolls in there, and they have all these spikes. Is there two rolls or one roll?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, maybe the music box has one roll, but it's all spiked, and that's what pings the notes and makes the music, right?
Yeah.
Well, this horsehair machine is 20 times, 30 times bigger than that, and it has two rollers. And the rollers come into one another, and you put the horsehair in. Well, when they made this, even this old machine had a safety on it. It had a safety, it had a front, a funnel that you put the horsehair in. With this unit, didn't have a safety. It was just, there's the roller sitting there, there's the plug, and just put the horsehair in, right? So they came in one time. The OSHA guy came in, and he's standing. He said, "Everybody stop!" It was a big shop. Everybody stop what they're doing. And everybody looked around. Here's this guy standing in front of the horse picking machine. He looked out at the shop and he said, "See this behind me?" He didn't even want to say what it was. He said, "I'm going to lunch. Coming back later this afternoon. If this is still here, you guys are in big trouble." So he gave us a chance to get rid of it. He left, and of course we had to get rid of it. But he probably saved somebody, right?
That reminds me of those old mills. You heard about that stuff in the Lowell mills.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the dangerous stuff they go on with those machines. You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Some of those. Oh, I'm glad those days are over. Now I pick horsehair by hand, Patrick. We don't need those big
Just
machines.
did one recently, right?
Yeah, we don't need those big machines. You can do it by hand, you guys. Don't do this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try that at home.
Good thing I'm not Johnny Knoxville.
So let's see. Sarah says about the Upholstery Show Live, I really need to stop commenting on these videos about my cats.
That's how you get in trouble, I'm telling you. That's how we got in trouble.
Well, how did we get?
Talking about cats.
We did a spoof on. I called myself a cat expert. I don't know.
That was your first mistake.
I know. And then we were going over the different fabrics that might be more appropriate for each cat's personality. You know.
We'll never do that again. We apologize.
We won't do that again. But you can still see it. And we got a comment saying, "What does this guy know about cats?" Somebody else said, "He doesn't know anything about cats. He's an upholsterer." Oh, I guess you guys are sick of the same jokes. We're going to have to come up with some new jokes, Patrick. Sarah, so then she comments about cats. She says, I have a stroller for my cat, but I only took him to a restaurant once, and we sat outside, and it was a pizzeria. Thanks. She's commenting, I think I mentioned about the dog at the table, Patrick.
Yeah, it was
not a therapy dog. It was a dog. The guy had a little. We love dogs, right, Patrick?
Of course.
But this was a little. I don't know what it was, Patrick. A little small dog, and he had what do they call those baby carriers that people wear in front of them?
I don't know.
Well, he had the dog in there, and he's eating. This is a 5-star restaurant, and he's eating. With the dog right there, and from what I understand, I looked into it. Even therapy dogs, a therapy dog is supposed to always be on the ground unless there's an incident with the person. But the dog doesn't go. Even the therapy dogs doesn't go anywhere near the food or the tabletop. It's always down, laying down. So I found that out later. Well, this dog was definitely at the tabletop eating with the guy. He's feeding it. Oh well. That's what I just wanted to mention that again because that's what she was referring to. That she took a cat, but in a stroller she only did it once. She said, "Thanks for the spring mist recommendation. We'll definitely try that. I tried a razor once. I don't like it either. Finally bought a decent pair of scissors, and holy cow, does it make a difference? Yeah, it certainly does." Janine, the Upholstery Show Live. She said she loves the quote section. Where did Michaela go? Do we have any quotes, Patrick? I don't think we do.
This week? I'm not sure.
Love the quote section. Photos really help, though. I screenshot the photo. She says, I screenshot the photo, then add in the price and the amount of material and keep it in a file so I can learn and refer to it later. Just quick comment on this. The internet is completely wrong. They have a couple of charts out there. Don't go by the internet, you guys. Your instinct is probably better than what you're going to see in that chart, because what I notice about the chart, it's probably under yardage. It's not enough yardage. So if you do see on the internet, there's a chart with yardage quotes. You might want to add 10 to 15% yardage on that chart if you see it. I don't use that, and hopefully photos again next time. But I don't think there will be, Janine, because we didn't have any submissions this week. A beautiful chair and fabric you are doing. Which one was that, Patrick? That was up there
Last week.
It
was those chairs. Remember the gold with the gold kind of frame?
Oh, those are beautiful high-end chairs.
Yeah.
Is it me or are those front legs different? I don't know. Did you notice that, Patrick?
No, I don't know. Did Michaela take a picture of those?
She says it looks like the two back one and one front one are identical, but the other front one has a different sized snail foot. Thanks for the shout out too.
Those were delivered already? They're not long
Yeah, they're already gone.
Okay.
But you know what? They're so old, Janine, and there were some repairs to that, so you probably saw it right. I mean, but and originally, I don't even think they were complete matches originally because they're all hand done. They're hand filed, carved, and hand painted, and they're They were beautiful. So that's it for the YouTube. Any questions or comments, Patrick, to catch up?
We're good. Randy says, leave the cat info to Jackson Galaxy.
What?
I wonder who that is.
Who's that?
That's the cat expert.
Oh, that's another. What about
Caesar's the dog one.
Caesar's the dog.
Yeah.
Are there any rat whisperers out there, Patrick? People that understand?
Hopefully not.
I'm sure there are. Rats make good pets.
Well, rats are an interesting thing, aren't they? They made a movie about rats called Ben with Ernest Borgnine, and I can't talk about not getting something out of your mind, Patrick. In one of the scenes, I don't know if you guys know who Ernest Borgnine was. He used to be on McHale's Navy. He was the skipper on McHale's Navy. In one scene, he fell down the stairs and all the rats were eating him. And I found out later the reason that
What are you talking about?
they put peanut butter all over them, so the rats would do that, not eat them, but just lick the peanut butter off. They weren't going to eat them, I don't think. But this is inside information, you guys, about animals. I don't think how that relates to upholstery. I don't think it does at all.
Well, you haven't seen Game of Thrones. They will eat you. Remember, Michaela?
Oh yeah.
That was a method of torture.
Oh, that's terrible.
They put rats in a bucket, and they only have one way out. If they put it up against you,
Wow.
that's to go right through you.
Oh, that's not nice.
That was in the show. Remember that scene?
Cats would never do that.
Well, the rats don't know any better. They gotta get out. They don't know it's a person.
Oh wow. Mary Kay, thank you for submitting this because
Anyway, let's move on to.
we had a great. This is Facebook
Let's
forum.
talk about upholstery again.
Yeah. So if you guys are just tuning into us, if you just happen upon this live show or later on after you come across it, we have a Facebook forum which I highly recommend all the newbies out there to go on there to learn from other people who have been doing this for a while. So much to learn on that, so much to submit to if you're doing upholstery. Like Mary Kay's been really good and proficient, hasn't she, Patrick?
Yeah, she's a lot of good stuff. Is she the one that uploaded was it the Victorian sofa?
I think so. And she also is the one that was brave enough to buy our kit before she came to a class. She bought the kit, did the kit, and when she came to class, I could tell the difference, how she was really proficient at tying springs, which really helped her on the chair that she did. It was a difficult chair that she had. She likes rocking chairs. I think that was a rocking chair too. But anyhow, let me get to this because I'm really excited about this. I love to put history in with furniture, and I love sentiment with furniture. And when you have history and sentiment, which we've been fortunate enough to come across a few pieces like that, that's even better. But let's just show the rocking chair first. Looks like she's got a couple of antique teddy bears on that too. Do you remember what they call those antique teddy bears, Michaela? The famous teddy bear maker?
Teddy Rupskin or something?
No, it's a name of a very famous.
I know what you're talking about.
It starts with an S, I think. Stein.
Those they're like designer teddy bears.
Yeah, I've seen
Michaela,
one.
you know those?
No, I don't.
But somebody will know in the audience, I bet. But Mary Kay says, rocker from Maine shipwreck near Matinik, what is that? Matinicus Island. It's older than 1932. It was covered in blue gingham in the 80s. Now it will be recovered in leather as it was when Grandma had it. Discussion with Kevin about whether it was cargo or part of the ship furniture. And then we were laughing about this. Odd to have a rocker on a ship, which we don't think. Well, let's read this first. Also, the wings are odd. I'll explain this in a minute. Let's get through it and then I'll go back. Still researching which shipwreck. One possibility was the Carolyn, which was a steamer carrying potatoes and paper, which grounded on a ledge in the fog in January 1912. It was headed from Maine to New York. Another for all of you history buffs, that date, 1912, Patrick, does that ring a bell for you?
No.
On another famous shipwreck?
Oh, Titanic.
Now, the Titanic went down in 1912, and I always get the Titanic mixed up with the 1914 date, which was the first year the Fenway Park opened in Boston. But definitely 1912 that was not a good year for ships, I guess.
Yeah.
It was headed from Maine to New York. Another possibility was another steamer headed from Nova Scotia to Portland, grounding on a ledge in 1872 that was carrying passengers and cargo, but that would have been the great-grandparent salvage. So let me just show you again. So we were laughing about the fact that
Pretty cool.
we were laughing about who would have a rocking chair on a ship.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you talk about seasick. That's a double seasick, right?
Well, how do they have them on cruises, right? No, they have lounge chairs.
And then we were wondering, where was it? Was it in the cargo or was it in the captain's quarters? And if it was in the captain's quarter, I mean, if it was cargo, it could be anything. But if it was in the captain's quarters or quarters, why did it have wings? You know, if it was made for the ship, where, you know, because wings are made for fireplaces, usually they're fireplaces. So we think that the rocker was added afterwards or later, and possibly the wings were added too or later. Who knows? But
I mean, because wouldn't it be nailed down if it was on a ship? But
that's
then if you can't rock it.
I don't know. I think from all this, I would never go on a cruise. You'll never get me on a cruise because
neither.
I see the YouTube videos of the. You ever see the YouTube videos? So the answer to your question, they don't on modern day ships anchor anything down because the ship's going like this, and all the tables are going like, all the glasses are going like this, and all the people are going like this. It's a nightmare. That's one amusement ride. The problem, I got seasick once on a ship, Patrick. The problem is there's nowhere to run.
Yeah,
You can't find relief. If you're sick, you can't go to the land. You're out in the ocean. And who thought about taking Dramamine back then? I didn't, but I'll never go on another cruise again. Tracy, she says, about to redo. Is any questions about or comments about that, Patrick?
Granny says Stife teddy bears.
Yes, that's it.
I was thinking of Vermont teddy bears.
No, that's a modern one. That's a newer one. But the older one, Stife, those look like Stife teddy bears. I'll have to ask Mary Kay. Is she listening? Is she on there? I'll have to ask her if those teddy bears are what I think they are. Anything else?
Nope.
Thanks, Randy, for checking that out. I knew it began with an S. Tracy says, about to redo this for my father-in-law. Let's just show the chair. I've seen a lot of these chairs. These were popular, I think, at one point. They usually had a little ruffled mini skirt, a couple of loose cushions. Usually they were knife-edged, like this one. Question. How do I remove the dowels without damaging them? See picture of the underside. Where is she doing? I think she means. Where is she talking about?
It could be one of the additional pictures that isn't on that.
I know what she's talking about.
Want to get it up on the
No, it's
phone?
okay. She's talking about those little caps that we put over. You know, there's a screw that goes in, and then we put a little cap. The problem with these caps is I can't find the domed caps, and taking them off is hard. What I usually do, a little tip, you guys, I take an upholstery pin. Not a regulator's too big, and a regular pin's too small. But sometimes an upholstery pin from underneath, you push it in, it will go in a little bit, and then you try to carefully lift it out like that. If that doesn't work, you have to take a screwdriver and kind of carefully cut it out. That's what I do, a flat screwdriver, and cut it out. Because if it doesn't come out with that little upholstery pin easily enough, it's really well glued, and you're not going to get it out. The problem with the replacement ones, first of all, they come, there's not a problem to stain them or to spray them, but the problem is I'm having a hard time finding the domed ones. The domed ones has a little lip and they fit in there nicely like the ones that come out. So the only ones I found are the flat ones. So still have to find a source for that. It doesn't come up that much for me, but there you go.
So Malcolm says he saw the image and said, "Don't remove the wedges."
She said, "Don't remove."
He said that. Malcolm said.
He says,
He
"Don't."
said he saw that image.
She doesn't have to remove them.
Right.
Why would she want to remove them? She doesn't have to.
He said, "Yeah, Randy says I found caps with a dome on Amazon."
Oh, good. I think we asked this before, and I think Randy did say he found that right. Didn't hear back, by the way, Randy. Esquire Upholstery. If anybody's out in Wisconsin, you want a good upholsterer, Diane and Randy do a bang-up job out there. I suggest you find Esquire Upholstery. But I was telling about the sewing school woman who left it going back to Wisconsin. I did contact her, and I said, if you need a contact out there, just a contact. You guys can do anything you want. But she never got back to me. It brings up another point about, classes and focusing on what your strong suits are. Everybody in this business has strong suits, in any business really. My strong suit is custom traditional furniture. That's what I love to do. I have a passion for that. A lot of upholsterers can't stand it because it's dirty, it's dusty. They don't like tying springs. Maybe they don't understand that they'd rather use foam. So my training was pre-World War II, which meant more traditional methods and furniture. Most upholsterers younger than me are trained post-World War II or commercial-like and foam and all that. But that's fine. So some upholsterers are strong-suited on the commercial end. Some upholsterers, I can do both. But you do define yourself. I get a lot of the antiques and known for that. But classes are not my main thing. Classes are a supplement to what we do, a nice supplement, a nice complement to what we do. It really, it can't be my main. I could if I wanted to, Patrick. We could shut down and set up for classes, advertise more, and have people there every day, right?
Right.
But that's not as profitable as you might think it is. I think as an additive, it's great, and I think we're going to keep it that way. And what we do here on the internet is on YouTube is huge too, right?
Of course.
And so she says, figured it out. What? Edit. Okay, she edited. I figured it out. I'm crazy. Number one, let's get that out of the way. They just went around the decorative dowel. Moving on, nothing to see here. Laugh out loud. So she's not going to do that.
I'm glad you read it.
But I'm glad she posted. This is an interesting one. I want to talk Allison. Allison's been with us for a while, isn't she, Patrick?
Yeah, she's still blowing on us.
So when I first looked at this, the chairs in a line, when I first looked at this, I glanced at this, I thought I was looking at a row of gravestones. And when you read what I'm about to read, you might, it was almost like a premonition to what she was talking about. But anyhow, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You just kind of glance at it.
Too.
I think it's the trees in the back, too. But anyhow, as she says, I just started working on a large upholstery job of 8 dining room chairs, and I work for myself. I was wondering if anyone in this group would be interested in doing some tear-down work. Alternatively, does anyone have any ideas of how I might find someone for such work? I'm located in the Metro West area of Boston, Needham. Thank you. So there you go, you guys. If you want looking for a little extra work, Allison seems like she wants to hire somebody to do, stripping of furniture, and of course that's how most of us start in the business, Patrick, by stripping furniture. And once you get by that process, if you still like it, then I guess you move on. But this is the hard process, and I think Allison's finding that out. I just wanted to mention too about the long hours and You know, we're talking labor, you guys. There's a lot of labor in upholstery, and even the prep work before you even start to upholster. There's labor, but there's nothing like having a helper that's really good at not. If you look at this, these aren't easy chairs to strip apart. You can easily break the frame in the back. You can easily ding the edges of the wood. You can easily take out chunks of wood with an awl if you're not careful. To find somebody that's really good with tools. And they're priceless when you find somebody. We had a guy, remember Richie, Patrick?
Yeah.
We had a guy, he was really good. He used to do medical equipment. And so, you know, he was charged with cleaning medical equipment. So he had a good grasp. I don't know if you knew this about him. So he had a good grasp, fine motor skills that required, and that, you know, that he was careful, put it that way. He was really good, really good. And he was quick. That's important. So finding somebody to do that is great. Tracy, she posted again with a really nice. She said she just joined the group after finding Kevin's YouTube videos. I have fallen in love with them. Wish my luck in recovering my $15 fine. Thanks, Kevin, for your prompt email and giving me a date on my sofa. I dated about 1860s English Victorian. I'm so excited. Look at that, isn't that a beautiful, so, look how many.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, look how many tuftings there are on that, wow, hand tufting. You know, I got a chair in the other day that was an 1820, it's a small Victorian parlor chair that's, believe it or not, you guys, it has horsehair fabric, the original horsehair fabric. And the chair is from a family here in New England that was here 200 years previous to this chair. And the house, I think they mentioned there was a family home from the 1600s that was still around. I'm not sure if they're in the home, but so the chair is actually 200 years later when they this was an indentured servant who was the descendant from the 1600s, and the family moved on from there. So the chairs here we got 1860, 1960. The chair's like in the middle of their history here, isn't it? In the center, right? If you're talking 1820, 1920, yeah, right, Patrick? 1820, 1920, and 2020. That's 200 years, right?
Wow.
And 1820, where the chair was made, 200 years before that, 1620. So this is what you get in New England, you guys. Furniture like that, it's kind of cool. Thank you, Tracy, for posting that. I wish we should get a picture of that chair. It's at Arlington, Patrick.
No, Michaela will definitely get it.
Tomorrow, remind me, it's a very interesting chair. So the reason I remembered it is because it just has buttons but no tufting. It's the surface buttons, that's it. But it's amazing that the horsehair has lasted this long. It just goes to show you, right? Any questions or comments, Patrick?
No.
I can't be that interesting. And this is from our Pakistani friend. Should I try to pronounce this name? Ibra al-Haq. Does that sound right?
And I thought it was Ibar. I think it's I-B-R-A-R.
If Ibra's listening, hello, and
Well, he wouldn't be much. If you send us a voice recording of the pronunciation, that wouldn't be much help.
oh yeah, no. Is he on there now watching?
But I told him we are going to be addressing this. So
This is good. He says hello, exclamation point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And good day, peace and blessings. Thank you for the add up. I have started an upholstery workshop with little knowledge of it in northern Pakistan.
cool.
I'm a furniture designer but haven't done the upholstery myself. I have a problem finishing the top and back of this. I had done it earlier with the dark gray fabric with blind stitch, but I'm not confident. Should I stitch the back and the arms together? Would be a big help, more exclamation points.
I like his enthusiasm.
I do too. Love the YouTube channel, great humor and best craftsmanship. Thanks very much, peace and love. All right, that's a wonderful submission. He's asking about, I guess we call these transition, so when you look to the right, he's asking about should he hand stitch. It depends. I think there he should. I think it would look better if he hand stitched it. Transitions like this are difficult because you want to make them look as clean as possible, right? That's the thing about transitions. And that's a transition. So I would say that he's got a piping, I think he's got a piping. When you're hand stitching, you guys, you need to be at the bottom of the piping. You can't be halfway on the piping, because that's not gonna look good and not provide a good transition, right? So when I train or teach people how to hand stitch onto piping, so you go on a fabric, usually it's like the outside arm to piping, outside arm to piping, and that's how you do it. And the transition from those two is that little back stitch that you do. But the important thing is to make sure that when you're stitching, the curved needle goes to the bottom of the piping, not the top, not the middle. And usually after I teach students, almost to a person over all the years that I've been teaching, I really slow it down. And the great thing about, Patrick, the great thing about the phones, the smartphones, is people could take a picture of me doing it, right?
Yeah,
I can
and
walk
watch it
away,
later, yeah.
and I don't have to say it again. I mean, it's not as exhausting as it used to be, and I recommend people do that so that when they're at home, they can just reference their little video. It's great. It's great. Great source. Great little tool. But after they're done with the hand stitching, and I say this to people, they think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I go up and I said, "You did too good of a job. It looks like we took the ply grip." I said, "I want you to do a little puckering here and there so people can say, yeah, that was hand stitched." Most of the students, Patrick, are so good at hand stitching,
Wow.
right?
Too good.
Too good, that you can't tell they're hand stitched. It's just one of those quirky things, I guess. So is there any other business, Patrick, that we should talk about? Is there any,
Well, I can't think of anything. I know every time we come on here, we say we're gonna film more you. Maybe we'll do something. Do you have anything lined up we can do after this? After we end the Q&A? Any video we can film?
no, we're kinda light on furniture.
What about
right now.
this? That can't be a
Well,
video?
we already did the most fun part on that one.
Jeez, every time. Well, I guess that's good, but things are coming and going. So.
Yeah, now, any questions or comments there, Patrick?
I don't know, just if Michaela has some submissions.
There are no submissions, Patrick.
None. I guess we're not
I
that
don't
busy
think
though.
so. I don't think so. So I think we're gonna end it here.
Yeah. I
Short,
mean,
little-
hopefully next week we'll be swarmed with us.
Do we have any submissions, Michaela, or,
Let's see.
why don't you see? She's
Just
gotta
check,
check.
just in case. Janine loves this.
Because
thing.
Janine, what Janine's doing, did you hear, Michaela, what we were talking about, what Janine's doing? She's actually taking pictures and then, taking the information and filing it away.
Yeah.
So she's got a catalog of pricing and yardage. I think that's a very smart thing. No, there isn't.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Oh, is it any?
No, it does not look like there.
All right, that's okay. So we're
Still
gonna,
went an hour, so that's good.
we're gonna cut out here, you guys. I hope you found this interesting. We gotta,
Hold on.
hold on.
Here we go.
There is one thing.
Okay, she's got one thing, you guys. Let me get my phone.
So, but this person wants it done in leather though.
Oh, we
They-
could,
They said they found the leather that they want, but is open to getting it from us.
yeah. Which one is that? A new one?
It's David, and it's from March 25th.
Okay, so I think this is good information for people. At least you know what I'm doing in the business. Let's just get a picture up here. Oh, this like so many red flags with this one. This isn't fun. So it's one of these Eames lounge chairs, replica, which is even worse than having an actual Eames chair. So there's like, I'm gonna count how many red flags about this in a minute. Hold on a second. So there's 1, 2, 3, at least 3 red flags that I can see. So why don't you read it? Let me just put it up here for people to see what we're talking about. He's got the parts up here, the parts of the Eames replica chair. I don't do them. That's one red
says,
flag.
I have a lounge chair and ottoman that I'd like done with new leather. I found the leather, but open to get it from you as well. It's a replica of the Eames lounge chair. I have cushions removed from wood and ready.
So I will explain to people that you know that I'm not doing leather or faux leathers. I mean, I had somebody call me the other day, and people are confused. People don't hear faux when they buy something. A guy called me up, he had 10 dining room chairs, and they had upholstered backs and upholstered seats. And I know those are faux leather. They could not be real leather. And he says, I got real leather chairs. I said, okay. And I let him go. And he says, the bottom is flaking off, and I want to just replace the bottom, and I want you to find a leather that matches the back. And I said, first of all, I just said, I'm sorry, I don't think you have real leather, because what you're describing is a faux leather problem, and I don't do leather or faux leather, but I asked if he wanted to do fabric, and he didn't want to do fabric. Now, fabric would be a great solution. I mean, I would have probably been willing, I don't usually like to do half of a job, I probably would be willing in this one, because there's 10 of them, but we didn't even get that far. So what I would say on this one for people, if you are gonna be brave enough to do these aim chair with the ottoman in real leather, I mean, make sure you charge a good amount of money, maybe $1,500 for what you see there, and the labor, I mean, the square footage of leather is always more than what you think there is. First you figure out the fabric, which would be for these pieces, you're probably looking at 1.5, 3, 4, 5. You're probably looking at about 6 yards of fabric. If they don't want fabric, so if they want leather, you have to recommend. The conversion is 17 square feet per 1 yard of leather. I can't do that in my head. 17 times 6, Michaela? Square footage.
102.
So that's 102 square feet, or it could be 2 hides of leather, but you have to be really careful with hides of leather because they can be 42 to 62. So if you get one that's 50, you're not gonna have enough to do this. If you get 2 that are 50, it only equals 100, you're 2 square feet short. So you always have to figure over that. But I'm not doing even the Eames chairs. So for him, we don't have to tell him that. Just say, I'm sorry, we don't do Eames chairs. That's it. So, actually, that was very informative. I hope people. There's no reason why you can't do fabric on these. I think that's it. Do you want to check, Patrick, to see if there's any comments before we check out?
Ken is actually on. Let's see.
Hi, Ken. Oh, Ken, the new guy, right?
Let me catch you up.
Okay.
Malcolm says you should publish an estimating book, hours and materials only for common furniture. Could be a product on your website. I wanted to create we tried that with the binder, remember?
Well, Patrick, we have a YouTube video on that.
No, tell Malcolm. We tried this. I tried to get a binder together for Michaela.
Didn't work.
So when you weren't there,
right,
we could easily give the customers a price and how much, but I think it just changes too much.
Well, I think if anybody's looking at the pricing, anything pricing on the YouTube channel, you have to factor that in. You have to factor when it was. I can't even remember how long ago we did that, but prices never go down; they always go up. So just factor that in. I mean, you could still use those videos, but just factor the amount of time that's gone by into that.
Yeah, I thought it would be nice to be able to. I thought it would make things quicker at the shop. So I'll talk to Kevin. And
one of the big problems is we're not economists. We're not upholsterers. Most people work their hands. Never calculate the true value or the true time that it takes to do something. Unfortunately, if you did, the only people I know that do it are plumbers. And you know how expensive plumbers are. But I don't think I could get...
So I have an idea. We
Yeah.
could create that book that he's talking about, just don't include a price. We could easily do a book of how many hours it would take, right?
Oh,
and
that's
materials
true.
needed.
Yeah, and then people could fill in their own blank there, their own, everyone gets...
That would be cool. It's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
I know you like your books, so maybe we can do that.
Yeah, it's been popular. The electronic A to Z basic instruction on upholstery has been very popular, hasn't it, Patrick?
Yeah.
That's another source I forgot to mention earlier, Upholstery on Broadway. Check that out, the store. One of the tabs up above where it says store, right, Patrick?
Yep, and let me read Ken's. These a good idea. Says, did you ever think of running a class for a week all day? So you just do a week. It said it would be great because I would travel and stay the week. So he means set up a class. And
maybe like a summertime thing.
Yeah, you set it up and if people come in and just do it for a week straight. Would that be
Yeah.
enough time though for people?
Well, think about it. If you did that 5 days, that's
Nico said she would go too.
That's
I got
40.
2 students here.
That's 40 hours of instruction.
Yeah.
And 40 hours of instruction. The average class is 16 hours, adult ed class.
Mm.
So you're getting more than double the amount of instruction that you would in an adult ed class. So maybe we should consider that.
That'll be
Patrick.
fun. It'd be a good way to meet everybody if they.
I would
want
have to get
travel.
into shape because, one day I'm underneath the 200-pound sofa at Paul Revere's house. The next day I'm somewhere else. So
Yeah, maybe it could be an end of August thing. Where we get that's our low month.
I have to get in shape, I guess, if I'm going to do that, because that would be like a Outward Bound class, Pat.
We'd have to have Jimmy involved with that somehow. People would
Yeah,
want to see
maybe
Jimmy.
he could provide the entertainment and the distraction.
We got 2 good ideas for people.
That's pretty good. Is there anything else?
Well, Malcolm followed up. He said, with labor and materials, you can always add your shop rate and bill of materials later. Like, I think he means somebody else's shop rate or our shop. Or they can
Anybody.
fill their own.
Everybody has
Yeah.
their own shop rate. Depends on how much you're paying. I mean, there's a lot of factors to that. That's why people who are working out of their basement can beat me on pricing all the time because they don't have to pay a storefront. But the only problem is that you can get you could fall into a rabbit hole in a shop at home,
Right.
and you don't get as many jobs. But I think that's it, right, Pat?
Yeah, thanks guys for those both.
Yeah, I think
2 really
are,
good ideas.
Those are
there.
good suggestions. We appreciate you checking in. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much with the stories, but in between
Yeah,
all
you
that,
bored me. I fell asleep.
yeah, but in between all that, Patrick, there's some good information.
Nah,
I hope,
there
right? All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you
Thanks
next
guys.
time.
See you next week.